Welcome, fam, to the 2025 season of the FFFL. I think we are now going into our fourth year, which is really awesome. Thank you all for being a part of it. I know that been a little more absent from you this year as years in the past. Probably a couple reasons. One, just busier, just things going on. But two, it seemed as though like participation wise probably just made more sense to give everybody a break, and as the actual season gets closer and inches closer, maybe that's when we actually talk and do things. But wanted to reach out because we are just slightly less than 4 weeks from our, I guess, draft date and time. It is just shy of 4 weeks from today. It is on Sunday the 31st, which we will get into. But I wanted to do an intro to the 2025 season and confirm a few things and let you know here's what's set, here's what we're going to do, and then let you know there will be more coming in the future. So let me go ahead and do what I always do, share my screen. Boom, share. All right. Here's what we got going on. So first I wanted to touch on the rules. This was the first year I didn't do a I guess a rule adjustment or throw it out there for everybody. Again, we're going in our fourth season. We've tweaked this a bit. I don't want to end up being a constant tweak of the league. And while yes, there's always things I think that can be tweaked in every league that you're in, I also appreciate what's different about our league. This is the only league I play in that actually has any points per carry, for example. That's probably the number one thing, which does make it different, right? It makes your drafting different. You focus on maybe running backs a little bit more, or different pieces of the running back, or different pieces of a quarterback, or things like that. So I do like that. And so that's one of the reasons I didn't do anything else with it. We inched closer to maybe getting that adjusted, but in the end, I think that's a differentiator within our league, and therefore I wanted to keep that set. It does not mean that we will never make any sort of rule adjustment. I know that we had a couple of times this year people didn't set their lineups when they could have, and that really does impact the league because ultimately it means that if you have people who are injured in your lineup and they're not going to play and you've known it and it just didn't get changed, well, at that point, then that person that you're facing probably gets a win, and therefore it can adjust the standings within our league. That is something to discuss as we go throughout. Last year was the first year we ever really faced that, and we faced it on multiple occasions, and not just from one manager, but from a couple different ones. So that's something that I think we just need to discuss further and see how this year goes to then decide where we go from there. Next up, punishments and rewards are set. So keeping that the same, Tyler was awesome, and he did his teddy bear date, as our punishment says, which was great. Last year, when we tried to maybe make an adjustment or change, it was legitimately me, Allison, and Glenn. That was the only three people on the call. And while we made some stuff, it was like when a quarter of the league is on the call to make the decision for the others. Is that really that fair? I don't know, but we've had this punishment set in place from the get go. What I will throw out there is if you say, "Hey, I'm not going to do the punishment when it's your turn," then I guess you're just not in the league anymore. That's the only thing I can say to you is I guess that just means, "Hey, I'm concluding I don't want to play in this league anymore because we've all agreed to the punishment. Everything is set there. Everyone has done it. That has had to do it. So that's in place, and the rewards are still set in place as well. So we'll keep the same payout structure as we have in the past. That'll all stay the same. Speaking of that, we also have fees and dues, I guess, whatever you want to call it, for the league that are due. I will get something sent out to everybody. I do have some of you who said, "Hey, I took winnings from last year and put it towards this year," and that's fine. I just want to confirm that with people for one. Also confirm this will be the second year that we will do the $55 instead of 50. Again, that's just to make sure that we can send that trophy wherever it needs to go and other logistical pieces. But we may not be doing that in the following years if we have enough overage. I have a little bit of overage from last year, so therefore, if this year we have more overage to cover that again, then maybe the following year it goes down to 50. So that's something that I will send out in the future here, especially for those who have already given me some of their dues with last year's rewards that they received. Also, the draft order is set. However, I have adjusted it. So if you've gotten any notifications like today about me adjusting it, here is why. So ultimately, how it is set is kind of a combination of regular season and playoffs. And what I mean by that is the, I guess, first four picks of the draft are those who did not make the playoffs last year, and those would be the ones that went to the consolation bracket. However, I didn't want it to just be set for record at that point. If you won the consolation bracket, so for example, Kyle, he won the consolation bracket. However, technically, Glenn had a better regular season record by 1 win, but Kyle will actually be the fourth pick in the draft. So, in a sense, if you win the consolation bracket, you will be the fourth pick in the upcoming draft. So, think of that as its own separate playoff there. And then I just rank it by regular season win total from there. And then in the, I guess, picks 5 through 12, so that would be those who made the playoffs. I kind of advanced it via round, and then as you got eliminated, I then ordered you based on your regular season record. I'm going to show you this slide because I think it'll hopefully help explain it the best. So we have the first four that I talked about. So Tyler, he's going to be the first pick, Allison second, Glenn third, and then Kyle fourth. So that's the consolation bracket from last year. Then it comes to the actual playoff bracket. I rank these basically by if you lost in the first round, you will be picks 5 through 8. And then that is seeded based on your regular season record. So, Andy, Casey, Bob, and Sam, you lost in the first round of the playoffs. And then that was ranked based on your regular season record. Then it moved into the, I guess, 9 through 12 would be those who made it to the semifinals and lost in the semifinals, which was Zach and myself. We lost in the semis. But Zach's record then puts him in ninth pick, me in 10th. And then obviously we have the championship game where Louis, whoop, 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 congratulations, won the championship last year. So he has the last pick. And then EJ was runner up in the championship. So he has pick 11. I hope that makes sense to everybody. That's how I'm going to kind of move with it moving forward. I think it makes the most sense. If you have a disagreement, please let me know. But I'm sure, hey, it's just the draft. This is just the start. No one wins the league based on the draft, but it is important that you do at least start off with a good starting point. But this is how we are going to draft. So I know some of you asked me before, hey, is this order set? Now it is truly set. So if you wanted to do any mock drafts, which is really easy to do in the app or online, you can do so that way. Draft date and time are set. I sent out the email asking for anybody to let me know if there were any dates and times that you could not do it. I didn't hear from a single soul except for maybe one, and I kind of knew of a vacation that they had going on. So I've set the draft time kind of accordingly. So it will be Sunday, August 31st. That is the Sunday right before Labor Day. So my hope is that everybody has it off. Even if you don't, hopefully it's not too late of a time frame in the evening for you to still do the draft. So the draft is set for Sunday, August 31st at 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. Our draft settings are you get 1 minute per pick. So I believe we had 2 minutes before when we first did it, and that took forever. So we noticed that when we went to 1 minute, it definitely was a much quicker draft, which everyone was more appreciative of. I think we got it in under an hour. It was like 45 minutes, something like that. So that worked out well. Again, it's always up for debate, but I think it went well last year, so we're just going to keep that going. And lastly, preseason episodes. Yes, of like what you're seeing right now. We will do that. We did a lot more last year. It was a little bit more gung ho in it, but kind of understanding the participation level and the feedback I received, I kind of just slowed it down for this year, and hopefully that works for everybody. However, I still love doing these kinds of things. And, this was part of the fun of our league was doing this piece and getting others involved and on the actual podcast as well. So I want to continue to do that. So for any of you who are interested in doing preseason podcasts, please reach out to me and let me know. We're going to do some like mock drafts. We're going to do some that are based around maybe different players that we like and different positions, stuff like that. So I'll kind of set up a couple different ones that are maybe fairly standard in a sense, but I'd like to get maybe a few in. I'd say at least two, if not three, in before we really start our season off. Again, thank you all for being a part of the FFFL. It is awesome to know that we're going into our fourth season, which is truly great. I can't wait for someone new to take home the trophy. We've had three different winners all 3 years, and I like that as well. All right. Much love to all of you out there. I hope that I get to see you all sooner rather than later. All right. Much love. Take care of yourselves and, make sure you do some mock drafting in the meantime. All right. All right. Love y'all. Bye.